Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of Open Book Entrepreneur. I'm really happy that we have Nathan here with us from Australia, and obviously he's multiple entrepreneur. He's just writing a book with Brian Tracy and Anthony Robbins. So yeah, Nathan, please introduce yourself and your businesses to our audience.
Yeah, g'day, Tony. Lovely to be here, mate. Yeah, we do. I love business in any shape or form. So as a result, I've been involved in lots and lots of businesses over the years. I think at one stage I was up to 15, but I think I'm actually closer to 17 businesses. And what I love doing is just finding opportunities out there and finding, I guess, underserviced opportunities and then creating a business around it and packaging it. The problem is there's so many opportunities out there. It's sometimes a little bit challenging to stay online because you just see all these massive opportunities and there's just so much there is so much opportunity out there. It's crazy that people think there's not sometimes.
Absolutely, and it's funny how you say that because there is a lot of people these days that say like, oh, you know what, there is so many problems around and everything else, and you're saying there are so many opportunities, and this is
Yes.
really related to mindset, because
Yeah.
if whatever we focus on, it expands. So if people focus on problems, they will see more problems, even if they have one business. But you are actually having all these different businesses and still seeing the opportunities. So tell us a little bit about that. How did you manage to get into that kind of mindset?
Yeah, well, we were just having a quick chat pre-recording and we were both talking about how we're into tennis. And I think that's really where I started with my mindset stuff. When I was quite young, about actually 10 years old, I had read this book called The Inner Game of Tennis. I don't know if you've come across that, you probably have, which was like my Bible back then. And I wanted to be really, really good at tennis, and I'd just do anything I could. And I realized that there was a whole inner game to tennis. There's a whole lot of mindset stuff that was absolutely essential to move forward. So, wanting to get any little slight edge I could over my competitors, I thought, let's focus on the mindset. And I realized that reading that book, it was all about building mental strength and what can you do in outside of the tennis game can have a big influence on your actual tennis game. So I realized mental discipline and strength was really, really key. So I said at 10 years old, what can I do that really enhances my brain focus and my resilience and my mindset? And it was, okay, I love lollies. I absolutely love lollies and chocolates, and as most 10-year-olds do. But I thought if I was to give up lollies and chocolates at 10 years old, then that would probably create a lot of strength, inner strength, which would hopefully then transfer over to my tennis game. So I decided I'd do it. And at 10 years old, I remember the day I was sitting down at my grandmother's house and I had a bag of fantails. I don't know if you know what those are. Don't know if they make them anymore, but they're these very chewy lollies. And I had this whole bag and I'm sitting there consciously going, I could eat these fantails or I could get better at tennis. So, um, and on that day I said, "That's it. See you later, fantails. I'm focusing on my tennis." And I gave up the fantails, and from that day I have not touched chocolate and lollies since then. But really interesting, for a year I had nightmares that I was eating chocolate, and every morning I'd wake up and go, "Oh, thank God, it was just a dream. I haven't actually done it. I'm still sticking to the program." And funny enough, one of my businesses that I run now, it's a weight loss program that we set up in hotels around the world. And it's all about going into ketosis and changing your biochemistry of your body. And I wish I'd known all this stuff back then that I know now about changing your biochemistry and your mindset using lots of NLP, like Anthony Robbins talks about, changing your mindset. And it just makes that journey of transition so much easier.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And thank you very much for sharing that story. I have to also mention something similar that happened to me when I actually started my journey in neurolinguistic programming, as I am now, like a mindset and and business coach, and obviously neurolinguistic programming really opened a lot of doors for me and understanding about the mindset. So when I was doing my trainings in 2011, one of the things that I wanted to do was we have to prove that something that we are actually eating on a daily basis, we can really overcome and not have a need to eat anymore. So one of the big things for me was chips or French fries.
Right.
And I just did this exercise on French fries. I didn't eat it for like few years, maybe 3, 4 years. And then one day I was in London in a pub watching some football with some friends, and we were having few drinks. And I was like, listen, I don't care about the mindset anymore. I'm just gonna go and order some burger
Mm.
and chips, And I went there and I said, and they were serving burger and chips all day long, and everyone was passing by with their trays and stuff full of chips. And I went there and I said, okay, I just want to get one burger and chips. And they turned around and they said, oh, we ran out of chips.
Oh,
You
someone's
know,
looking after you.
exactly. So then, that's really powerful how when we apply the mindset to something, actually the circumstances also start to
Mm.
change as well. So this is what I wanted to share as well. And then on top of that, you mentioned that you're running 15 businesses. Obviously, a lot of those businesses are successful and probably you're set as well and everything. So, what keeps you motivated? What keeps you going to actually grow as a business person from there?
I think I just love it. So I'll talk about it 24/7. I'll do it 24/7. I surround myself with really good partners in different businesses who are equally as passionate. And it's just fun. Like, I think if you shift mentally to this, from this is work to I absolutely love this. This is an area that I am so passionate about. It's so easy to stay motivated when you're in that lane that you love. Nothing else really matters. Time disappears. Time's not an issue. You put in 15-hour days and you don't even question it. It's just like, I want to do more. I want to do more. And as you're building businesses and looking for opportunities and building a business around it, and watching growth, then that's in itself a big dopamine hit. I do a lot of talking about dopamine and neurotransmitters and ways of naturally stimulating your feel good hormones in your body, and that in itself is really good for a producing a lovely snowball effect. And there's a bunch of things you can do with your diet and your lifestyle to stimulate more of those neurotransmitters that keep your motivation up and keep you moving forward. So I kind of look at it as there's a package. I kind of, some people refer to it as being a business athlete. You put all the tools and health and nutrition and mindset together, and you come up with a package that works for you. And that said, I've had loads of failures as well, so haven't certainly hit the ball out of the park every time. But on the other side, I've done okay out of a bunch of them as well. So overall, we're moving forwards, which is the most important thing. Yeah.
Exactly. And what's one tip that you can share with other entrepreneurs that are looking for this dopamine hit in their business?
There's a bunch of ways, there's positive and negative ways of stimulating dopamine. So the negative ways are very short-lived and they actually roll you into a state of stagnation and almost depression. They give you a little hit and then you seem to crash down worse than you were before. So they're things like eating sugary foods. They give you this little high and then they crash you down. They're things like social media and scrolling. They call it doom scrolling. It's quite addictive. An average teenager, for example, is so addicted by those dopamine hits of moving the thumb and finding a new little video to watch. They actually measured the amount of scrolling they do, and it's actually the height of a teenager could scroll within 1 week the height of the Eiffel Tower. So that is just crazy when you think about how addictive it is, and how much scrolling that goes on and these muscles in these thumbs that they must build. But so they're the negative ways. Positive ways, there's a bunch of things that you can do to stimulate dopamine. And I get really excited about this because you've probably heard of the law of attraction and The Secret. Everyone's watched The Secret, the movie, and that's all about the law of attraction. Now, what I find you can do is I've kind of discovered that you can biochemically change your body in a positive, healthy manner that stimulates more law of attraction. So how do you put yourself in that frequency and that vibrational state to attract more stuff, more positive stuff to you? And there's actually a really scientific step that you go through and that you can physically change your biochemistry. So getting to that, there are things like anything that stimulates dopamine puts you in a better state, and another one's oxytocin, which is another hormone. They put you in a really good state that you're open to more opportunities coming into your life. So it sort of almost puts the biochemical change, puts the physical body into a state where it becomes more receptive to attracting more of the good stuff. So let's get to those things. So that's things like exercise. Exercise is phenomenal for stimulating dopamine. The more endurance-based exercise, the better. So if you can push yourself through to marathon status, I don't recommend that overnight, but obviously the more we run, the more endorphins pump into our body to kill the pain, but they also come with amazing stimulation effects. Ice baths are phenomenal. Ice baths are absolutely incredible. They can actually stimulate dopamine by around 200 to 400%, which is just incredible for changing your energy immediately. And we actually set a Guinness Book of World Records last year or 2 years ago for ice baths in Perth, Western Australia. It was actually doing the biggest ice bath in the world.
How many people were there?
There was, so that was January, I think it was last year, January, and there was around 690 people.
Wow.
The problem was literally 3 or 4 months later, someone had 900 or bigger, so they topped us. But we held the record for a short period of time, which
That's
was cool.
important.
Yeah. So we can claim it. But yeah, ice baths, exercise, even music, listening to uplifting music is phenomenal. I mean, that can stimulate, it's only a little bit, dopamine levels have been shown to go up by about 15 to 20%, but it all helps. Things like sex, if I can say that, but it's it's an incredible stimulant of feel good. In ladies, it's more about oxytocin, which is more of a sort of a community feel good hormone. In men, it's dopamine. We get this quick hit. So food is really important for dopamine stimulation and feeling good and keeping motivated. So as I was saying before, I run ketogenic weight loss programs, and that mimics fasting. It puts the body into a fasting-like state, and fasting is phenomenal for dopamine stimulation. So yeah, I mean, there are a bunch of little treats that you can give your body.
Wonderful. So many interesting things to cover there. And if people actually want to find out more about these interesting things that you were talking about, how they can actually either get in touch with you or where they can find more information about you and your businesses and your courses and stuff.
Yeah, nathanboers.com. Just come to my website. There's some interesting stuff there about diet, and I've created this little business diet, I call it. So a diet that stimulates your energy and your brain function to get more out of business. So you can check that out if you like.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, I will share this also in the description under this video on YouTube and all the other platforms where we actually share this podcast episode. Nathan, thank you so much for being a guest today, and thank you all for watching and listening to this episode. Have fun and see you in the next episode.
Cheers, Tony. Thanks, mate.